What does it take to become a world champion? What goes on inside the head of an aggressive F1 driver like Max Verstappen? How did the tough upbringing by his father Jos Verstappen contribute to the 2021 F1 world champion? You'll find out in this video as we're going to take a look at the early days of Max in his career. Welcome to F1 Inside. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video and hit the notification bell icon to get updated about F1 and really get inside the culture of today's most popular racing sport, its drivers, teams, tracks, tragedies and history. Max Verstappen was born on the 30th of September in 1997 to a Dutch father and Belgian mother. He chose to drive under the Dutch flag since he's said to have more affinity with the Netherlands due to the time he spent with his father after his parents divorced. His father bought him a go-kart when Max was just 4 years old, and he fell immediately in love with it. This doesn't come as a surprise since his father was a Formula 1 driver as well. Jos Verstappen had been racing for teams like Benetton, Simtek, Tyrrell, Stewart, Arrows and Minardi during his career from 1994 to 2003. Joe's main reason for retiring was to focus all of his energy on his son Max and use his knowledge and experience to hopefully create the next superstar F1 driver. He stated that he wanted to help Max achieve what he himself couldn't, becoming the F1 world champion. Some even say it was a classic case of a frustrated parent forcing a child to achieve his own dream, taking away the innocence of someone being a kid. Max started his racing career when he was 7 years old, winning in a go-kart race competing against 11-year-olds. By the age of 9, he was already enjoying championship status in the Netherlands and Belgium by winning the Mini Junior Championship. In 2006, Max graduated from the ROTAX Max MINIMAX class and won the Belgium Championship, then won the Dutch title in 2007. In 2009, he won another championship when he finished first in the Belgium Cadet Championship with Team Pex Racing. Then in 2010, Max entered the international karting stage, racing for the CRG factory team at both the European and World Championships. At the KF3 World Cup, Max finished second to Albon, who was more experienced than him. The following year, Max got his revenge by beating Albon at the WSK Euro Series and becoming a world champion too, beating Robert Vissou at the WSK World Series. From then on, Max kept on winning everything in his path, and in 2013 he even won the World KZ Championship, becoming the youngest ever to do so. This is also where the friendly rivalry with Charles Leclerc began. His next stop, Formula Renault 2.0 in 2013. Max drove for Formula Renault and tested for several teams as well. In December 2013, he tested an F3 car by Motor Park Academy and recorded faster laps than much more experienced drivers. Max, his name started buzzing in the racing world as the Wunderkind. This became even more evident when he won 3 races at the Ferrari Academy, organized Florida Winter Series and 6 consecutive victories of 10 in total in the F3. Then, because of his vast achievements at a young age, Max even skipped the F2 and went straight into F1 in 2015 at age 17, becoming the youngest F1 driver debut for Toro Rosso, the sister company of Red Bull. Max kept on breaking record after record. He became the youngest F1 driver to score points, the youngest F1 driver to win a race, the youngest F1 driver with the fastest lap, and numerous other records that he still holds. But this relatively short journey towards F1 does make one wonder, what does it take to become such a wunderkind? Breaking record after record. The answer to it can be found in Max's rocky relationship with his father, Jos Verstappen. Jos wasn't the type of father that would go easy on setbacks and poor results from his son Max during his childhood. And even though Max now says he is grateful for this rough childhood, it must have been hard for a kid constantly under pressure to succeed. Looking at some incidents makes you understand some of Max's current day behaviors on the track. Max's resilience, for example, may have started when his father took him to the go-kart track every Wednesday after school to test his own home-built engines and chassis. But during the winter time, it was freezing, and Max was pushed to keep driving even though his hands were freezing and he couldn't feel his fingers. Jos screamed at him, "I don't care! Drive!" His unmatched desire for high results may be rooted since his father was known for being verbally abusive to him whenever Max performed below his expectations. He would call Max names and even thump on his helmet, telling him that he would become nothing more than just a bus driver if he'd drive as bad as he did. And maybe Max's tendency to have a short temper when things aren't going his way started when his father left him at the gas station at one point. Max and Joss came into an argument and Joss kicked Max out of the van for him to walk home. The two actually didn't talk for a week after this happened. Again, Max repeatedly said in interviews that he doesn't hold a grudge against his father and realizes it all helped shape him into the driver he is today. Joss now admits he may have been too harsh on Max, but he wanted to help his son be as best as possible. Whether ethical or not, it created the success-hungry, aggressive, extremely talented F1 driver we know today. Max is known for seeking the limits of the F1 cars, the tracks, and even himself. In 2016, 1 year after debuting in F1 in general with Toro Rosso, Max debuted for Red Bull and, of course, managed to win that debut race for the team. The years following were all character development for Max, who had to get rid of his toxic traits and tantrums whenever things weren't going his way. But one can imagine that with such a strict upbringing, constant pressure to succeed and being an F1 phenomenon and wunderkind, there is nothing more important than becoming the best at it, living up to all the expectations people have of you. In the 6 years towards his eventual championship, Max grew as a driver, teammate, and human being. He raced alongside Ricciardo, Gasly, Albon during Red Bull's own trials and tribulations to become the best constructor while dealing with technical difficulties and changing engine manufacturers a few times. Then in 2021, it was time for Max to claim the official title he had been fighting for since he was 7 years old. After a season full of tension and rivalry with the then ruling champion Lewis Hamilton, Max became the world champion of Formula One after a controversial last lap of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He had stopped Mercedes' reign of dominance by defeating Hamilton. Max's whole life has been about racing and one day becoming the world champion of the ultimate class, Formula One. And even though his upbringing might have been making headlines in the last few years, it has been fundamental for the character, attitude, and drives he has today. He is a one-of-a-kind athlete when you consider the composure he's been showing in his fights with Hamilton. Where other great drivers are known for making mistakes in stressful situations, Max has been cancelling out his emotions at crucial moments. Performing under pressure is perhaps one of the most important character traits a world champion must have. And it's safe to say that Max has that hardwired into his system to avoid consequences. For now, Max Verstappen is the new king of the hill that other young aspiring drivers want to knock off the throne. We see this with the lifelong rival he has known since his go-karting time, Charles Leclerc. But the danger doesn't only come from the other constructors as Max feels the pressure inside the Red Bull team as well. His teammate Perez is challenging him more and more for the #1 spot in Red Bull. But we feel that is when Max performs at his best and shows us his beautiful driving style, whenever he is challenged and has something to prove. What do you think about Jos Verstappen raising his son this tough? Does Max's success justify his childhood being rough and sometimes even a bit abusive? Do you think Max can defend his championship? Leave it in the comment section and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video and hit the notification bell icon to get updated about everything that's F1. We are F1 Inside and thank you for watching.